things are pretty loose there.
Is it a commune?
Well, not in the true sense of a commune, but there is a sense of community.
Is it a religious order?
It does have some religious orientation in the sense that it has some Baptist heritage. Originally it was started by a Baptist. Some of the students here are religious, some of the people are not religious at all. If you're really out to learn, when you come to Linfield, you can really learn, you know. You can talk to your professors on an informal basis. You can walk out with your professor while he's walking his dog and talk to him, you know. You can meet him at his house for dessert or something. And really, it's a sense of community. And we are creating an outpost.
Walden Pond?
Well,
Linfield version?
Not quite, but one of the...
Well, here you are right on the edge of the wilderness area. Is it that you're just trying to get away from Linfield?
Oh no, we're just reaching Linfield out. That's all.
Well, where are you located? I mean, where is this cabin?
This cabin is about what did we figure, Walt? How many miles from Sisters?
About 11 miles, Sisters.
About 11 miles from Sisters, southwest of the village of Sisters.
How far from the top of the North Sister?
As a crow flies.
It's not far, is it?
No, it's not. And Mount Washington, just beyond the North Sister a ways, and we're really not far from Three Finger Jack or Jefferson. We find that more and more students are coming to Linfield because we are where we are, as well as because we teach what we teach.
What do you call it, a retreat?
Well, it's a retreat, but it's also intended to be a multi-purpose facility, and certainly we will use it as an outpost for field trips in the biological and other sciences. If we expect students to try to understand and appreciate what Thoreau or some of the other nature writers were thinking and feeling at the time that they wrote, then we bring them out so they can think and feel in similar ways.
But to get where you are now, would you have done better somewhere else?
That's hard to say. I knew I didn't want to go to Oregon State or Oregon because of the size. I considered Willamette, but I mean I'm really pretty happy. First year I wasn't all that hot on the school, but then last year they started the year-round thing, and I took a 5-week block in between semesters at Christmas, and I took one this last summer, and I can graduate almost a year earlier if I want to.
So college isn't supposed to be a place to find happiness anyway, is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's
Just find out how to look for it, but if you just... Heck, if happiness is all, why you could go to some country club.
Oh yeah, that's true.
University of California and go surfing between classes.
Yeah, but you also can get away with that at Linfield too. I mean,
well, the big city isn't far away, and the mountains and the ocean are next door.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't make it sound like you're always trying to get away from there, because it isn't really like that.
Well, there's some like that. Has to be.
Yeah. I got some stuff in the mail from when I first heard.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then I came mostly because I liked the outdoor programs they had, and they had a good science department, which is where I was majoring.
And your major
is pre-med in biology.
Are you a mountain climber?
I went once. They had a mountaineering class last fall, and I went on that.
This is going to be a great place to spend some time, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to try cross-country skiing into here during the winter.
How much snow do they get here?
5 feet, something like that.
Where do you live? In one of the dormitories?
Yeah, I live in Campbell Hall. I'm the hall president.
What does the hall president have to do?
Not a whole lot.
Jiggers the cops?
Yeah. And we don't really play police or anything like that. It's just someone to bring all the news to the people in the dorm and set up activities.
Is that a co-ed or is that?
Yeah, it's co-ed. It's mostly guys, though. I'd say about 70%.
How do you get along? How do you get along with girls?
Well, fine. You know, the second and third floor is men's, and the bottom 2 floors are women's.
And so you're pretty separated, and it doesn't seem like it's really co-ed. Other than the fact that I know they're living there, you know.
McMinnville is a community of 13,000, and it's small enough that most people know each other, and yet it's not so big that you're lost in the city. I think all the kids speak to each other here at Linfield, and you go to a big university, they just don't do that. And so I think that's the advantage of a town this size and of a school our size.
Well, is there a Linfield type?
No, not really. We have people representing all walks of life. And I think we have people who've gone to the top in all walks of life.
There are a lot of sports here, intramural.
I think we've had real good athletics over the years, Homer. We've had, not only are we strong in athletics, but we have, I think, one of the finest intramural programs that you see any place.
Yeah, I saw a touch football league the other day. A bunch of Hawaiians were...
Yeah, they probably have a Hawaiian team. I'm not sure that exists, but it's very possible that exists. It's a beautiful sight on our campus to see all the activity going on all the intramural teams, and I think a lot of this accounts for the fact that we are out of way, so our students really get involved and participate in all these activities, and I think this is terrific.
Do you have a quick philosophy of the way you approach basketball? Is it a very complex thing to say, or can you do it?
Well, no, I think it's very simple. Our philosophy is to be in the best possible condition and then get down the floor as soon as we possibly can and get the good percentage shot as quickly as possible. We're not a very deliberate team. We like to move the ball down the floor rapidly, and the first chance we have at getting a good shot, we want to take it. And then we want that same philosophy to carry over on defense and be very aggressive on defense.
Then a big, quick guy would be good for you, but a little quick guy could make it too, couldn't he?
Yes, that's right. And we've had the little quick guys more than we've had the big quick guys.
I remember Riley.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Jack was one of the finest basketball players that I've ever watched. Roy Helcher coached Jack, but we've had our great ones too that followed Jack through the years, and we've got some fine young ball players now who I think will establish themselves before they get through.
You like it here?
Oh yes, I love this school, and I like working with young people, and I am delighted that we have Dr. Walker now in charge of Linfield College, because I think he's going to take us in a direction that will be a credit to everybody and get the support back that we so badly need here at Linfield.
As long as the sun shines like this and the rains don't start for a while.
That's right. This is unreal. But I like Oregon weather. I don't care if it snows, rains, or what it does.
From the time that I came down here and started the school, it's been part of my life. I always hoped that someday that I could get back to Linfield, and when I did, I thought it was the best break I ever got in my life. Money isn't everything, and this is why I thought, well, it did. It did change for a while, but we're hoping that the new president, and I don't really know him that well to say one way or another, but I'm certainly hoping that we get back to the old Linfield traditions.
You drop in to see your old buddies?
Oh, sure. In fact, I'm sitting up there with Ted Wilson right now, see, watching the ball game.
Those kids look pretty good.
Oh, certainly. Don't worry about this ball club. Rutschman's a good coach. He's a big-time coach, really.
You'll be coming around, though.
Oh, yes.
Just can't leave the old place.
No, I'll always be coming around. The first thing that I heard about Linfield was about the strong science program that was here. I read a book written by Knapp and Goodrich, which had devoted a whole chapter to how Linfield College and one other college in the Midwest produced more American men of science than most other colleges. And when I saw, this single chapter devoted to these two colleges, and in essence sort of saying, well, why can these two colleges do so well? And then what struck me was as they named names and said, the difference is the faculty. talked about Dr. McNabb and how, indeed, it was purely his devotion that made the difference in biology. And John Bowling, and how, indeed, his tenaciousness for research had obviously just engendered in the science students that he came in contact with a love for what they were doing. So that was one of the first things that I thought about, and I read that a long time ago. And I've always been interested in a church-related college. Most of my career has been in a church-related college. And so to me, Linfield meant a college where there was a concern for quality of life and a concern for values. That was important to me.
Do you think Linfield is an old-fashioned college?
Well, I don't think that the word old-fashioned is pejorative. And I'm not sure that there's any great benefit in trying to establish a time reference like that. I think that there's merit in holding on to some of the heritage of the past, and there's merit in building on that heritage for the future. It's old-fashioned in the way of some of the virtues that we remember, and it's new-fashioned in way of some of the developments that we're aware of. I think the important thing about Linfield is that it doesn't attempt to be all things to all people. It says this is what we stand for, this is what we can do well, and we hope that appeals to you. And if it does, you should come here.
Well, here it is halftime, and Linfield's behind.
Yeah. Well,
Linfield isn't behind very often.
No, it's not. Well, I don't think you always win, but that's a part of athletics. You do your best, you play the best game you can, you put the best image forward for the college you represent, and you let it at that.
How do you feel about athletics?
I feel positive. I feel strongly in favor of athletics, quality athletics.
Win at all costs?
No, I don't mean that.
Buying baseball players?
No. We, for example, spend less money than any other team in the conference on football. But it's more than winning, I think, Homer. It's the quality of relationships that exist between the coach and the player. And I feel with Rutschman and with Knight and with Ted Wilson and some of the others that are here, they're interested in the individual player as a human being, as a guy. And that's important. And there's a relationship that can develop between a good coach and a player that doesn't always develop between people in other disciplines and a student.
What other departments should we try to show?
You should try to show the economics and business department. We're one of the few colleges in the Northwest that simply says it's important for young people to know about the American system of free enterprise, and so we say that everyone needs to get an exposure to that formally. One of the few places that says that should be brought out. I've been struck by a young woman in psychology, new this year, brand new this year. I'd be interested to see what she would say. You know, the film ought to show something about the quality of learning here, the quality of fun here. It ought to show how we connect theory and practice, how the guy goes into accounting, for example, and he studies the courses, and then he goes with Merrill Lynch as an accountant for a short time and comes back. That back and forth, practice and theory, their application and theory. That's a good point. I think young people are interested in that kind of thing. They want to know what's the connection right now. I'd like to see that get into the film. And it doesn't have to be in accounting. It could just as well be in education. It could be in home economics. The psychology people have some internships now. That'd be important. This outdoor group, the group that, just goes up into the mountain and spends a week, it just came back. I'd like to just see some good, solid, genuine evidence that what goes on here is more than what goes on someplace else. If you've been on campus, you've heard the bells play every once in a while. I haven't been on a campus in 15 years that had that sort of thing. That's kind of nice.
It is old-fashioned.
That's kind of nice.
It does take you back.
Sure it does.
Are you a student here?
No, I'm a learner, but I'm a teacher.
On this campus, it's more men than women. Are they all chauvinists?
That's a loaded question to ask me.
we can take it out if...
Right. Well, there's a strong group of women on campus who are trying to ask themselves questions about who they are, who we are as women, and what do we need in terms of becoming full people. And I think that's strong support for someone who would come here. It's nice there are other women who are asking questions like that.
Then you'd say that you're not behind the times here as far as...
No, I'm really pleased with the beginnings that Linfield is making in this area to offer women an opportunity for growing as well as for men. I do think this is a male environment, but I think that all educational institutions tend to be male environments.
How students changed since you went?
Well, a lot of students today are, maybe I see it more because I'm coming from a different direction right now, but that they're beginning to feel very tuned in to what's going to happen next. People are much more job-oriented than they were when I was in school. I think I came from the last of the radical generation in many ways in terms of the 60s and the radical politics, and I think campuses are quieter now. People are not so involved in the criticism of the system on a large scale, but rather...
It's fine now. You don't have Nixon or Vietnam. What
right.
do you have?
Well, yeah, although that wasn't right, or civil rights, or women's movement.
It's so vague now.
I think there's a lot of criticism of the educational systems that we're in. And I think our educational systems have to deal and prepare people to feel good about themselves as a whole person and feel confident to be involved in the world. Right now we have cross-country, field hockey, and volleyball going all the time. Well, basketball practices are starting up now. And if we have enough women interested, we also have a swimming team. Then there'll be track and field, softball, tennis.
Then all Linfield athletes are not male.
Oh, no.
This is the book that you wrote, isn't it?
Yes, except I didn't write it in German. This is the book called Water, the Mirror of Science, written with Kenneth Davis. And these various other covers that are rather interesting are some of the languages in which this particular book has been translated. Out of something like 125 physics majors who have gone out of here in the last number of years, nearly 30 of them have gotten their PhDs. A few blocks south we have a large electronic plant. This came into existence because of high-level research that was started at the Linfield College campus by Dr. Dyke and his associates, many of whom were his students. This evolved through the Linfield Research Institute. Then later on the Field Emission Corporation was bought out by Hewlett-Packard. But I think it is a very significant achievement to show this generating initiative, which wouldn't have happened if it had come from a very strong and sound science program.
Do you find the students shift around a lot?
This is a characteristic of today's students more than past years.
I mean, they'll pick one field and then go into another?
Yes, I think mobility is a way of characterizing today's students, not only within the college, but also the in and out pattern. They'll be in college for a while, they'll leave, then they'll come back. I think this is one of those things which merges into the idea of ongoing adult education.
Well, just last night I went to the meeting of the science division, and casually, one man said, we get about 50 to 70% of all the upper class pre-meds into med school. Well, immediately my ears perked up, because that's a very high percentage. That's double what I'm accustomed to. It was passed over as though it was a small item. But I want to highlight that item. That's a major kind of thing. For a college such as this one to be that successful.
I'm afraid we'll leave out quite a few things like that.
It's because we're not a flamboyant PR kind of place.
Maybe all we can do is find out what a few people are like, and we can't even pretend that they're representative.
Sure. I would agree.
How'd you happen to come to Linfield? Where'd you hear of it first?
Well, my dad is an American Baptist minister, and so I'd heard about Linfield for many years through Baptist circles, and I'd always thought of it as a sweet, private, churchy school, so I was never going to go there.
Where'd you hear that?
I just got the image somehow.
I mean, where are you from?
Well, my parents, I've just moved to Alaska, but I grew up in Washington and Idaho, so now I was in Idaho at the time when I made the decision to come here. And I had a chance to go to some other top schools, and Linfield just sounded good, so I came here for a year to try it out, and liked it.
Sweet little monastic Linfield Baptist school sounded good to you?
Well, it had a lot of things. I thought, well, I'll give it a try for a year, and it had good financial aid. And that meant a lot to me, and it had the opportunity to give me a major that I wanted that I couldn't get anywhere else, which was communications and political science, but I wound up in psychology and social anthropology.
Well, are you glad you came?
Oh, very glad. And it was, now that I've graduated from Linfield, I still think it's an excellent school.
Well, how long ago did you graduate?
In June.
Oh, you're brand new.
Right.
If you're going to describe Linfield to somebody, what would you say?
It's friendly, small with an emphasis on relationships and quality learning and experience, as opposed to some schools where emphasis is on pure academia or pure fun. We have a lot of everything. We don't have the most fantastic facilities in the world, but I think our professors and our staff and the students make up for that.
What equipment don't you have that you think?
Well, like one dream of the biology department is to have an electron microscope. Our labs can always use more equipment, better housing facilities for the labs. As far as a chemistry and biology building, we need a performing arts center, and some people feel we need a new gym.
Is there anything that you think ought to be said about Linfield? I don't mean necessarily laudatory. Are there terrible weaknesses that will keep it from being one of the survivors? Because staying in the college business is going to be real tough.
I think that, well, a couple things need to be said of positive nature. First, Linfield will survive because people come through in the end. It's just like our athletic teams come through in the end. Academically, we come through. Financially, we always seem to come through somehow. But it's not a college for everyone. There's some people that won't like it there. And people should realize that college is a difficult and interesting experience. And Linfield may not be the place for them, but for other people it certainly is the place.
How would they find out? What would be the best way to find out? Is a simple tour through the campus any good?
Oh, it helps a lot because you get to know people and you find out how friendly a campus is by that.
And you can feel that friendliness or find out about it just by spending some time?
I think so. Because you see the way the people are and the fact that students and professors are sitting together in the commons having lunch or having coffee together or talking. You can see people talking, different relationships, people of obviously different backgrounds. And talking with people who went there is one of the best ways. And recognizing that just because you go to a place where you don't have to stay there. There's nothing wrong with transferring schools. There's nothing wrong with taking a year off in between colleges. I went to Europe for 6 months through Linfield. I studied anthropology in Greece. It was just a tremendous experience. And if I hadn't gone there, I might not have liked Linfield so well because I needed a chance to get away because it is a very small place. People know everything you do, but you also have a lot of people to back you up when you need it. You can't hide at Linfield. You've got to develop as a person. At a big school, you can hide because there are just numbers. At Linfield, we have numbers, but nobody knows what they are.